Welcome to lesson 3 of our basic Joomla functions, our introductory course to Joomla. And this lesson, lesson 3, we're going to be learning our way around, just a very short but sweet lesson, just so we can grasp some of the concepts that Joomla has on the back end of it. I remember we showed you how to move the polls over here to the left and how some of these things function. But we're going to actually go into the administrator end, and I'm just going to kind of give you an introduction to where everything is and what exactly everything does, so you're not looking at one of the options and you say, what in the world is that? So to get to the administrator, always in a Joomla installation, wherever your Joomla installation is, you just type in administrator. So your domain name and then administrator, and that's it. And this is a login, and you just type in the login that you've provided in your install. And this is the intro screen. You have lots of drop down menus up here. Over here to the right you can see if you have mail from anybody directed to you, the administrator of this website. And over here it says the users online. It lets you know exactly how many users are online your website right now. And of course obviously you can log out right there, and the ever so helpful help button. And here, these little tabs right here, you can check out which is the most popular content items you have, and it tells you how many hits and when it was created, and the latest items that have been added, who's been clicking on what, and actually who is logged in right now, if you have an option where many people can be logged in. So that's basically the right hand side. And over here, this add new content, section manager, menu manager, and all these things, these are just quick buttons. You can get to all these things the same way up here. For instance, this global configuration, you can do it on the site, global configuration. To get to the front page manager, you just go to content, front page manager. To get to the language manager, it's under site, language manager. So these are just quick buttons to get you to certain places. And the first thing I want to show you before we start going into all this stuff is the site here. And one of the most important things in Joomla that you need to know is the global configurations option. So we're going to click on it. And this right here lets us know that we can change the information in this window because it says it is writable. If it isn't writable, then you have to go to your FTP and you have to select your configuration.php and allow it to be writable. Otherwise, you won't be able to change it or save it in this window. So the first item on the agenda is the site offline. Just with a click of a button, you can take your whole website offline. I don't know why you'd want to do that right off the bat, but of course, if you're working on things, or if you don't want people to see what you're working on, then that's the best thing to do. And when it's offline, you can give it a specific message and even insert HTML tags in there if you need to. And obviously this says this site is down for maintenance. And then if there's a system error, you can also include a custom message. And again, this right here is the site name, and that's what shows up here at the top of your browser, Joomla demonstration. Obviously site name says Joomla demonstration. What if I typed in Joomla tutorials and clicked apply? Up here it changed it to Joomla tutorials, and that's going to be consistent to your whole website right up there. And you have several options here that are down here. You can mouse over these little eyes and it'll pop up kind of a hint of what each one is. Allow user registration. Remember the login module we looked at? This you can click yes and it'll allow people to register on their own. If not, you click no and only you can register people. And that's kind of how that works. And like for instance, this right here is for login also. Require unique email. In other words, there can't be two people with the same email address registered in your website. Debug, that's for coders, or if you're trying to figure out what the problem is on your website. If there's a problem, you can do debug mode. And this picture editor, which if you're familiar with Microsoft Word, where there's little buttons for bold, italics, underline, left, right, center, justify, aligned, all that kind of stuff. That's exactly what this is. And later on we're going to be looking at installing a newer one than this, but here you can select what editor you want to use, you prefer to use. Let's go back up to locale here, and you can change the language. Right now I only have English loaded, but later in this lesson we're going to look at the language manager, and we can load multiple languages. We can also load what time we're in, so that's nice. Content. Now we're going to go over this in a later lesson, but these basically is as it says, global configuration. Kind of configures globally certain options. For instance, the author's name on every content item, on every web page. You can show whoever wrote it. You can show their name, or you can show a little PDF icon that converts that article into a PDF. So that's basically what these things are. But we're going to go over that later. And then again, the database options, which we've already configured this in our installation. This is basically the same thing as when we installed it. You specify the host name, username, etc. The server, you have lots of different options. How long a person can be logged in for, 900 seconds is set by default. Error reporting, you can select different things. This is mostly for advanced users. The metadata, now this is important. This is the keywords. This is what allows Google and Yahoo and Microsoft Network and other search engines to search your web pages, and it takes these keywords and descriptions, and this right here automatically applies them to every page, this metadata. So again, this isn't a tutorial for things like this, for MySQL databases or for how to get your website search engine friendly. That's in another series. So you can change your keywords and your descriptions, and these, since this is the global site description and keywords, it's going to have these words on every single page. So you don't need to type a whole lot here, because individual pages you can specify individual words. So here you just need to do basic important words that would most likely be on every page. Mail, you can specify different kind of mailing functions for your administration end, and we'll deal with that later too. Statistics, you can specify statistic logging for certain things, and then search engine optimization, which we'll deal with that also later. So I'm going to get out of that. So that's a configuration file. That's one of the most important. The language manager, again, lets you specify different languages. Right now we only have English. And if we download it from the Joomla.org website, other languages, we can click on New, and then right here you just select it and upload it, and you have the newer language that you can select from as the default. The Media Manager is where you can upload images, all sorts of things. As you can see here, here's the images with a preview. You can create new folders, upload new folders. You just file upload, and you can browse for the folder and then upload it. Now the preview a new window. It'll open up your website in a new window, which is handy as you're making lots of changes in the administrator end. Then you can switch quickly back to your website to see what it looks like, which is fairly handy. And then you also have preview inline with positions, and that doesn't open up in a new window. It actually opens it up here, and we're going to go over what these are. These are modules. These little positions here. Modules are positions, same thing. User 1, top, banner, user 2, right. But remember, just to give you a quick overview of what exactly this is, remember the polls in lesson 1, the polls that were over here. Remember we wanted to move them over here? Well, it was in the right position, and all we do is just select left in the option menu, and it moved it over here to the left. So that's what these are. These show you the different positions you can move different parts of your website to. So that's the preview. Statistics, you can check your statistics out for the searching, or if you've enabled other things, who's clicked where, how much, etc., etc. The template manager, we've already kind of looked over that. We can select what template we want to use for the whole website, change the website. Same thing with this administrator template. We only have one template, which is what you're looking at here, this thing. But you can download different templates if you don't like what this administrator looks like. And we've already looked at the user manager, and we're going to look at it in a little more depth later, but this is where you can manage and create new users. And that's pretty much it for this menu. The menu is just that, a menu manager. It lets you manage the different links. Here's the links for our main menu, and you can manage them, create new links, different kinds of links, etc., etc. The content is basically your web pages, where you can manage all your web pages, separate from your menus and your site and all this. This is actually where you can edit. Well, let me open one just to show you. You can actually edit. Here's that editor we were talking about that looks like Microsoft Word. We can edit our text, click save, and it saves it on our main web page. So that's what all this content is our web stuff. Components are special pieces, which again we're going to look at more in depth, are special pieces that allow you to configure your website. Remember our polls module we moved? Well, here we can actually configure the poll. Let's look at our poll. We can configure our poll to, here's option 1, here's option 2, here's option 3, and we can reset it. Here, I'll show you. So this component, the poll component, configures this window right here, the polls. So we're going to look more into installing newer components, and we're actually going to configure one later. Modules are the positions where we move things. It's kind of like a placeholder. If you can think of a placeholder that holds things, this is a module. It holds the polls component. This is a module. It holds the menu. This is a module. It holds the who's online thing. So these modules you can move from place to place to place to place to place, anywhere you want to move it to. That's what a module does. A Mambot is installed mostly in your database, and it mostly helps with things like this. For instance, search. It helps with your search features of your website and those types of things. And if you have it set up, if you have people emailing you, you can check your inbox. You can check your configuration for your inbox, change it. You can send a new message to your users. Obviously here you can select the user and then email them. That way you don't have to log into your own email client. You can just shoot it off real quick if you're in the administration end of it. And your system kind of lets you check over what kind of system info you have, your PHP information, your permissions information on each folder. And this is, again, this isn't my website. This is just my local host website that I'm running for the tutorial. And that's basically it for the rundown of where exactly everything's at. And again, we're going to get more detail with specific things, especially the content, the components, and the modules. We're going to see exactly how a lot of this stuff works.